It was a bright Saturday afternoon in Greensboro, North Carolina. The kind of afternoon when families washed their cars in the driveway, sprinklers ticked lazily across green lawns, and children wobbled down the cul-de-sac on scooters. Even the mail carrier lingered a bit longer in the shade, grateful for the calm. But calm doesn't last forever. Take that jacket off right now. It doesn't belong here. The sharp voice cracked across the neighborhood like a whip. Heads turned. A basketball rolled to a stop. Conversations froze in mid-sentence. At the center of it all stood Margaret Walsh, clipboard tucked under her arm, eyes narrowed with the kind of authority only she seemed to recognize. She wasn't just any neighbor. She was the vice president of the HOA, and in her mind, that made her the guardian of the neighborhood's image. Opposite her stood Ethan Cole, a 41-year-old Army veteran who had only just moved into the neighborhood with his wife, Claire, and their 7-year-old daughter, Lila. Ethan wore jeans, sneakers, and his old camouflage jacket. To him, it wasn't just clothing, it was identity. A reminder of desert nights, silent missions, and fallen brothers. "Excuse me?" Ethan asked, his voice calm, though his jaw flexed slightly. "You heard me," Margaret snapped, her pen pointing like a dagger. "That military gear makes this neighborhood look unsafe. We don't dress like that here. We have standards." The cul-de-sac grew still. Harvey Mills, the retired postman, stopped watering his roses. A teenage boy leaned on his basketball, watching. Even the kids sensed something unusual. Ethan took a slow breath. "Ma'am, with respect, this is just a jacket. I wore it during 15 years of service. It's a part of me. There's nothing unsafe about it." But Margaret's expression didn't soften. "Service or not, that jacket is not appropriate. Take it off." By Monday morning, Margaret had already drafted a 3-page complaint. Every word dripped with authority as she twisted vague. HOA rules to make Ethan's jacket sound like a threat to neighborhood safety. She slid copies into every mailbox, making sure the story spread before Ethan could defend himself. When Claire opened their mailbox, she froze. "Ethan," she whispered, unfolding the packet. Her hands trembled as she read the words. "She's saying your jacket could discourage families from moving here. She's painting you like some kind of danger." Ethan read the pages, his jaw tightening. "She's not going to stop," he muttered. That evening, the neighborhood gathered in small clusters on the cul-de-sac. Parents talked in hushed voices. Kids played tag but stayed close, and eyes kept darting toward the Cole family's house. Margaret stood proudly with her clipboard, her voice carrying across the lawns. "We have standards to protect property values. If we let one person break them, everything falls apart. First jackets, then what? We must draw the line." Ethan walked out slowly, wheeling his trash bin to the curb. The air shifted. Conversations quieted. All eyes turned. Margaret seized the moment. "Mr. Cole," she said loudly, "have you had a chance to review my complaint? This community has rules, and your military clothing violates them." The words cut deep. Ethan had faced death in war zones, but somehow, being told his service made a peaceful American street look unsafe, hit differently. From a few feet away, Harvey Mills shuffled closer, holding his watering can like a shield. "Now, Margaret, come on," he said gently. "It's just a jacket." "Let the man be." Margaret's head snapped toward him, silencing him with a glare. She wasn't used to being challenged, especially not in front of a growing audience. Ethan glanced around, noticing the gathering crowd. He straightened his shoulders. His voice carried not anger but pride. "With all due respect," he said firmly, "I've worn this jacket in places you can't imagine. Places where my brothers gave everything they had, so folks back home could argue about lawns and mailboxes in peace. If you think I'm taking it off because it offends you, you're mistaken." The silence that followed was heavy. For a moment, Margaret's face flickered with uncertainty, but then she tightened her grip on the clipboard. "We'll see what the HOA board has to say," she muttered, scribbling furiously before storming away. Ethan turned, his daughter Lila watching from the porch steps with wide eyes. He smiled at her, a gentle reassurance masking the fire stirring inside him. That night he sat at the kitchen table with Claire. The complaint still echoed in his mind. Claire squeezed his hand. "She doesn't matter," she whispered. "Don't let her take that from you." But Ethan wasn't so sure. Because in Margaret Walsh, he saw not just a nosy neighbor, but a battle waiting to erupt. And this time, the battlefield wasn't overseas. It was his own street. The jacket wasn't just fabric anymore. It was a line in the sand. Ethan stopped, hand resting on the trash bin. He looked around at Harvey Mills with his dog's leash, at neighbors watching from porches, at his daughter's little face peeking from behind the curtain. "Yes, I read it," Ethan said firmly. "And I'll tell you again, it's a jacket. My jacket, I wore it while serving this country. There's no rule against it. You may not like how it looks, but that doesn't make it wrong. Property values matter," Margaret shot back. "If buyers see people in combat gear, they'll think the area is unsafe." Harvey Mills stepped forward. "Combat gear? Margaret, it's a jacket. He's not patrolling the street with a rifle. Let the man wear what he wants." Margaret gave him a cold smile. "If you don't care about your property's value, Harvey, that's your choice. But some of us take pride in our community." Ethan's voice carried steel now. "You talk about pride, but you don't understand mine. This jacket represents sacrifice, memory, brothers who didn't come home. I wore it defending your right to stand there with a clipboard and call it unsafe. And I won't take it off because it makes you uncomfortable." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some neighbors nodded quietly, others looked away. For the first time, Margaret's grip on the street seemed to waver. But she straightened, chin high. "Rules are rules, Mr. Cole. If you can't follow them, maybe this isn't the right place for your family." Ethan didn't flinch. "We belong here as much as anyone else. If you can't see that, that's your problem, not mine." The cul-de-sac fell silent. Margaret's eyes darted across the watching faces. For the first time, she didn't look victorious. She looked exposed. She turned on her heel and stormed back to her corner house, heels striking the pavement like gavel blows. Ethan stood tall in the fading sunlight. His wife came to his side, whispering, "You handled that well." But Ethan knew better. This wasn't over. The jacket had become more than clothing. It was a spark. And soon the fire would spread beyond a single family and a single street.